Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be tackling something that I think a lot of us struggle with, and that's project management.
Oh, yeah,
We got a ton of resources sent in from you guys,
for sure.
but we're going to try to zero in on,
Mm.
I think, one of the most helpful ones,
hmm
which is project management for dummies.
It's a classic.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to that title.
Right.
So we're going to kind of use that as our jumping off point.
Sounds good.
I think, even if you are a seasoned project manager,
Yep.
there's always stuff to learn.
Always.
But if you're just starting out, I think this deep dive will hopefully give you some good insights.
Absolutely.
So I think the first thing we got to figure out is what actually ISIS a project.
Right. Yeah.
What makes it different from
Like a regular task.
just a regular to-do list item?
Yeah, I think there are three things that really define a project. One is that it has a specific scope.
Okay.
So you know what the results are going to be or what product you're going to produce.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is a schedule. It has a start and an end date.
Okay.
And then the last thing is that it requires resources, which could be people, money, equipment, facilities, all sorts of things.
Oh, okay. So it's all that stuff, the resources, you're juggling all of those
Yeah.
within the project as well.
Right, exactly. And I think it's also important to note that you have to manage trade-offs between those three things. So, if you have a limited budget,
Yeah,
you might have to adjust your scope or your schedule.
totally. And so then let's say we have a project and we're ready to really get going.
Right.
Where do we even start?
Okay, so there's a thing called the project life cycle. It's a roadmap for managing a project, and it has 4 phases.
Okay.
The first one is starting,
Mm-hmm.
where you define the project's purpose, secure approvals, and all of that.
Like the green light. Yeah.
Right. Then there's the organizing and preparing phase, where you develop the plan, figure out all the details, gather the resources. Then you have the carrying out the work phase, where you actually execute the plan, monitor the progress, make sure everything's on track.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally the closing phase, where you assess the results and wrap up all the loose ends.
Now, I feel like in real life, it doesn't always go so smoothly.
Right.
You always move from one phase to the next so neatly.
It'd be nice, but real-world projects require flexibility. You may need to revisit earlier phases if things change or new information comes up.
Gotcha. So it's you have the roadmap, but you also have to
Be ready to deviate,
be ready to
adapt.
adapt.
Yeah.
So, and then, we've been talking about the project manager, and it sounds like they have a LAR-T on their plate.
They do.
What exactly does their job entail?
Yeah, so the project manager's role has really evolved over time.
Okay.
It's not just about taking orders and delegating tasks anymore.
Gotcha.
They have to assess project feasibility, understand the needs, develop plans, secure resources, guide and motivate the team, A&D, identify and resolve issues proactively.
It sounds like, and especially that last one,
Yeah.
that proactive part, it's not a job for someone who's just kind of sitting back waiting for stuff to happen.
No, absolutely not.
They're really leading the charge.
Leading the charge, exactly.
So even if it's not a complex project where you need a tool like Kanbanchi,
Right.
it's still a very involved,
Absolutely.
a leadership role.
It is. They need to understand both the technical side of things and the people side of things.
So it's you have to kind of speak both languages.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I guess, okay, so you've got this project.
Yeah.
You're the project manager.
hmm
You've got all these things to juggle. How do you keep track of it all?
Right. So one of the most important things is breaking down the work into smaller pieces.
Okay.
And there's this thing called a work breakdown structure.
Okay, work breakdown structure.
Yeah, or WBS for short. It sounds complicated, but it's really just a way to organize all the tasks in a hierarchical way.
Okay.
So you start with the main deliverables of the project,
Mm-hmm.
and then you break those down into smaller and smaller components until you have a clear picture of everything that needs to be done.
Okay, so it's instead of having this giant, overwhelming task, you're
You
okay,
can break it down.
what are the little pieces?
Yeah, exactly.
And then each of those, I guess you can sort of delegate or assign or
Right.
whatever you need to do with them.
Exactly. And the more detailed you are in breaking down the work, the better you can plan and track the project.
Okay, and that helps with figuring out the time it's going to take,
Yep.
the resources you need,
Absolutely.
all that kind of stuff.
It helps you make sure you're not overlooking any critical tasks, too.
That's a good point because I feel it's so easy to be
Yeah.
oh, I thought of the big things.
Right.
But then it's those little things that can really
Trip you up.
trip you up. Yeah. Okay, so we got the work breakdown,
Mm-hmm.
but then, we've talked about this a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's not just about the tasks.
Yeah.
It's about the people.
The people, right?
How do you get everyone on board and keep them motivated throughout the project?
That's a great question, and that's where the human element comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important.
Because you can't just assign stuff and
Ah.
expect people to be excited about it.
Right. It's not just about barking orders.
Right, exactly.
You need to communicate the project's goals, how it benefits the organization,
Yeah.
how it benefits them personally.
Oh, okay. So how it fits into the bigger picture.
Yeah, yeah. Give them a reason to care
Right.
and feel invested in it.
So you're kind of selling them on the project almost.
In a way, yeah, but it's more than that. You want them to feel like they're part of something bigger,
Mm-hmm.
that their work matters.
Okay.
Another thing that's really helpful is to involve them in the planning process.
Oh, okay.
Give them a sense of ownership.
So it's not just like, here's your task list.
Right.
Go do it.
Exactly.
It's more like, okay, let's figure this out together.
Yeah.
How we're going to approach this.
Exactly. And when issues do come up, you want to address them quickly and openly.
Okay. Because I feel like a lot of times those things can fester.
Oh, yeah.
And then they become like a bigger problem than they needed to be.
Exactly. You want to foster trust and transparency.
So being proactive instead of reactive, pretty much.
Yeah.